Hello, Dr. Stu.
You can see me? Okay, that's good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. How are you doing?
Mm, I um
Yes.
um so lab one didn't go as well as I predicted. So that
Okay.
I take it seriously. So what it means is today I finally came because I want to do the best I can to get better.
Yeah, sure. Of course, yes. And I know that we've trying to schedule a time to meet, but I know that it has been difficult for some reason. So, yeah, sorry for that. That was unfortunate. But I'm glad that we finally find a time to meet today. So, yes, let's look at your Lab 1 paper.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just give it another look. So I think it looks better than the previous version.
Yes, I divided into three paragraphs, like your critic
Yes,
suggested.
yes, I saw that. And right now, yes, that's very good. That's in exactly the structure that I expected to be. So, yes, right now it's in the correct structure. That's very good. And the first paragraph, the first part, the opening paragraph looks great. That's great. And then the literature, the second part of the paper, the literature summary, that also looks much better than before. I have some small, I think, two suggestions. So one is I know that I've also mentioned it in my previous comment to you, which is to add more context or methodological details when you introduce the two studies, the Averson 2015 and the Brandon et al. 2014. I know that I can see that you already added more information from those two studies, which is also very good. But I think you can probably provide a little bit more context. Right. So I know that you mentioned, I can see, for example, the conclusions, right? So, for example, the Averson 2015 suggested this and that. And you mentioned that previous recent methods included a Likert scale. That's good, but I wonder if you can still add a little bit more details. For example, when we talk about method, and you know this from writing the lab 2 paper, you should talk about participants, you should talk about design, the measures, procedural. So I'm not saying that you should give like all the details in your literature summary, but try to still provide a little bit more information so that because people who are reading your paper, they did not read. Let's assume that they did not read Averson 2015 or any of those articles that you are citing. You know what I mean? So our goal is for them to understand, to provide them with sufficient details or background information for them to get a decent understanding of what really happened in each of those studies that you were mentioning in your literature summary, without going back to those original articles. So, but reading your summary, they can have an idea in terms of what those researchers actually did in those studies, and which should be beyond just summarizing the findings from those research. So you can tell me what Averson found in their study 2015, opinion, I want to know what method they used, what exactly did they collect the data, run the study, so that I can make my own judgment on whether or not I should trust those results. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's the goal. That's our goal.
Wow, very, very, very great critic, because I had not thought about it before, but now I get a more thorough sense of what I need to do.
Great. Yeah, I know. It's just about the perspective. Once you get the idea, yeah, I'm sure you can add those details and make it much more, I guess, accessible to the readers, again, who may not have the knowledge about those previous literature. Okay, so that's the literature part. And then after you provide such context or background information from those prior studies, I know that you also you talked about the limitations, for example, for Aberson 2015. But I wonder if you can elaborate a little bit, expand it a little bit more. So not just Aberson 2015, but also Brandon et al. 2014, and to talk about again, what is the remaining question for us to explore as a transition, and you should consider it as a transition to bridge between the previous literature or your literature summary paragraph and the next paragraph, where you're going to introduce the current study, right? So how to make a connection between these two parts, the second part, which is the literature review, and the final paragraph. So that's why you want to talk about, okay, so this is what previous researchers did in their studies. However, we still don't know about this and this, right? And which is what motivated our character research. And to answer that remaining question, that's why we designed our character study, in order to cover that gap, in order to answer that remaining question. And I think it should be possible for you to make that connection more explicit. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Okay, great. Okay. Then let's look at your final paragraph for the description of the character study. So in this part, so you started your paragraph with the p-value, blah blah blah, but that is actually not required for this paper. Yeah, because lab 1, we only want to focus on the introduction. So you actually don't need to talk about the results, because the p-values and everything, those are results, findings from our statistical analyses, which are not required, and also they usually are not included in introduction. Yeah, so you can take those out. You need to talk about stats, basically, for lab 1. Let's see. But instead, what you should really highlight, and actually that's what you put as the subheading of the third part, which is the research question, the methods, and the hypothesis. So I want to see what is your research question. I think you should start your final paragraph with the research question, first of all. And then definitely, again, add more information on the study methods. So in order to test this question, this is how we designed our study, and then give us the details, let the readers know what exactly we did. And that should include 100 they completed the study online or as part of the course requirement. So that's participants. And we should also talk about the design of the study. So this study, again, is an online survey, right? It's a correlational study. It's not an experiment, right? Participants, design, and then measures. Measures, you should give some details to describe what measures did we use to test each of the variables of interest. So in this case, in this study, we were interested in people's contact with members from the different political groups, right? On the one hand, and what, on the other hand, we're also interested in what kind of attitudes toward those members from different political groups, political others, right? So, but what measures did we use to test these two variables, contact versus attitude? And those details you can find in the study description document. That's the Word document.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. So, you just use information from there and to, just to provide information in your final paragraph. So, for example, things you can talk about, we used those are Likert scale, right? And how many points? Was it 7 point or 9 point? Actually, I don't even remember. But go back to the materials and find those information. And other things such as how many items, because we used multiple items, not just one question, but multiple. I think something like 14 items for positive feelings. I can't remember exactly the details, but those are the things that you can talk about. How many items per variable, per construct, right? And then, for example, higher scores will indicate what, like more positive or more negative feelings, etc. So just try to give some description of how the measures look like. So that's the measures. And then lastly, procedural. Procedure should be relatively straightforward, and like I just described, you can talk about how students completed this online survey via Qualtrics. So they did not do it in the lab, right? Instead, because this is online course, people complete the survey at a place and a time of their convenience. You can also mention how long the survey took, approximately. So those are for the method. Try to provide information on these four aspects of methods: participants, design, measures, procedural. Okay. And then hypothesis. Let's see. I think you have your hypothesis written, so that's good. Yes, and you used you cited the previous articles to explain why you predict the results. So that's good. Let's see. Yeah. Good. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions?
So I'm sharing my screen because I have taken very quick note during this call. I just want to make sure I did not miss anything. So, yes, here are everything.
Yes. Because expand the limitations. Yeah. Final paragraph. Yeah. No, that's right. There's a measure. Look at how to test. Right. Okay. Yes. Right.
Then.
Yeah, I think you got them right.
So
yeah, if you can add all of those information information, I think that will make your lab one paper very good.
Yes. What do you mean by very good? Like, I would like to know the numeric range.
Sure. So I think if you can add all those information, then I would say that your paper should meet basically all the requirements.
Oh.
Yeah. So in which case you should get a score that is around above 90 point. If all the elements required are included in the paper. Yeah.
Yes, so I selected from in the third paragraph the very first sentence about p-value, and then until the gender entailed 41 respondents with the exception of
age and the gender you can keep, because those are age, gender, race.
uh-huh.
You can keep because those are the information, demographic information on your participants, which are definitely relevant. Age, gender, yeah. And it's actually good that you included those information.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I wrote it. Delete statistics.
Yes, for this paper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am editing now so that I want to make sure that I do things correctly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think mainly for your the final paragraph, you just need to add the methodology. Well, research question. Be very explicit about what your research question was, and then add methodology details.
If I remember correctly, our research question was does positive not this one. I think this one was more about researching negative contact, because past researchers already did some about positive, and then they discovered positive contact is associated, I mean not causes, so it's an association correlation claim associated with positive attitudes. But then this research was to investigate if negative contact is correlated with stronger negative attitude compared to the intensity of positive attitude. So what it's talking about is negatives are stronger than positive.
So yeah, that's definitely one of the contribution of the character study compared to the previous literature. But I also want to make sure, I also want to remind you to mention that our focus is on political domain.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because the previous research,
Yes.
for example, Aberson 2015, they looked at race, right? People's perceptions on racial identity, racial groups. So that is also one gap that you can talk about before you delve into the character study. Yeah.
So
And also make sure to specify in the political domain, because that's one of the uniqueness of our study.
So yes, on my notes sheet, I added this. Past research before Aberson looked at political parties, but this current study is looking at race, which needs to be separate from political parties.
I guess what I mean is that Aberson, past research did not look at, did not examine the relationship between contact and attitudes or prejudice in the political domain. We are conducting our research, our character research, to explore that question, particularly in the political domain, if that makes sense.
Political.
Yes. And I believe Aberson looked at race. So.
With contact and prejudice in the political. So yes.
That's right.
But
so that's why. Yes.
This study. Yes, this study is looking at race in the political domain.
Well, we're looking at the relationship again between intergroup contact and the prejudice in the political domain. Right? Okay, very good. Yes. I hope this helps. I do have another meeting at 4 that I need to go to.
Yes.
But I think you have some idea how to improve, how to revise your lab 1 paper, right?
Yes. My last question is, was it correct that I had 3 separate headings? The general research theme in everyday life, and then the summary of past research and missing gaps?
That's a very good question. So actually, I don't think it's necessary for you to use the subheadings. So you can even take all of them out.
All of them out?
Yeah, you can take them out. Especially given the length of this paper, because it's very short. So yeah, I think it's okay. Usually we use subheadings to help people to better navigate the introduction, especially when it's somewhat longer, and then you have multiple paragraphs and people can get lost. So that's why we put some subheadings to help them, to orient them. For example, okay, so the next 5 paragraphs we're going to talk about for example, the literature on this particular theme, and then next 5 paragraphs we're going to talk about the other topic. We try to use subheadings to organize the introduction section to help people to navigate. But I don't think they're necessary in this case.
Yes, makes sense. So what I will do is keep that bold word introduction at the top.
Yes. Correct. Yes. Exactly. And take out the other subheadings.
Thank you.
I do have to go.
Yes, I know that. So maybe schedule our next meeting anytime soon for lab 2, because I know I need to get them.
Yeah. If you want, we can do next week. I need to set a schedule for next Wednesday, but yeah, send me an email.
Oh yes, we will figure out. Mm-hmm.
All right. Great to talk to you today.
Yes.
This help,
Yes.
and we'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
After review of your calendar, you can give me the invitation like you did.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Of course. You're welcome.